Hello everyone. So basically what I'm doing in this video is I'm looking for some design inspirations. I just want to create a simple landing page using HTML and CSS, maybe a little bit of JavaScript, but I just want to focus mainly on the design part. So I'm on pexels.com and I'm just looking for dark backgrounds because what I'm visualizing right now is a header with a transparent background and a dark background so that I can have some text in white or in blue with maybe just a simple search box in the middle. So that's basically what I want to do right now. And if you're wondering why I'm speaking so slowly or very low, it's because it's about 12 a.m. right now in my time zone. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with this, right? So I'm just going to first of all I actually need to create a new folder in my desktop. So I'm going to cd into my desktop and I'm going to say make directory and just call this wait a minute, I have a directory. I've just remembered I created a directory called designs, should be, and inside this design, let me just see what's inside this. I have a readme and travel. Oh, I actually committed this to GitHub. Oh my god, I'm thinking so slowly right now. So let me just confirm that in my GitHub repository, in my GitHub profile, I created a repository called design-hub. So this is like 2 hours ago. So I just created a simple landing page from this, and I think I deployed it to Netlify. What was it? Designs travel. Oh yeah, there you go. Yes, so technically this is what I built 2 hours ago. So that's this commit that we have right here. I just made this simple design and I added a few things right there and just a few things. So basically, and I have toggle functionality right there so that I don't have the header at the top. So basically what I want to do now is something similar to this, but instead of this light sort of light themed background, I just want to have a dark background instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image and I'm going to save it inside where is it, it's called designs, and I need to create a new folder here called, let me call this, what's this image about? Let me just see. This image is about let me call it nature, and then inside this nature I'm just going to save this image, and then I'm going to cd into the nature directory and I'm going to open Visual Studio Code so that we can begin some building and some testing. So I can close this down. Excuse me. Okay, so right inside here I'm going to create a new file called index.html, and then I'm going to create another one called style.css, which we are not really going to use all that much because I want to use Tailwind CSS. And right away let me just get Tailwind CSS from cdnjs.com, and I want to grab Tailwind CSS, copy this link tag, generate some boilerplate, paste it below this, and I've just remembered I also want font awesome, so let me just get font awesome right there, paste it below this, and then I want my style sheet, my default style sheet, to run first. So I'm going to place it above this because HTML documents normally evaluate everything from the top going downwards. So I want my link tag inside here and just call style CSS. And the reason why I have this style CSS is because I want to go into fonts.google.com and get the font that is called Roboto Slab. This font, I like this font a lot, it just looks so nice to me. And then for this font I'm going to grab the 400 regular and the 700 bold and just grab the import right there so that I can now do this. So import it right at the top, then say the body should have a font family of Roboto Slab, and a fallback of sans serif. And then once I do this, I'm just going to change this to nature landing page, like that. So save this, and then let's see, what do I want to do? First of all, I want to have a div with a class of container, and the reason why I want this class of container is because I want to add this background image using CSS, and I've just remembered I also need the header, so I want a header with a class of header and an ID of header, which we don't even need this because we're not going to be doing any JavaScript. And then inside this div with the class of head, I want inside this element with the class of head, I want a div which will have an h1 that just says nature or mother nature, for example. And then below this, I'm going to have a UL with LIs. Let's just say 4 LIs, all of them with anchor tags. And then this first one will be home, about, nature, and then finally what link might rhyme with nature. Trees maybe, I don't know, it's just dummy text anyway. And then inside this div with a class of container, what do I want to do inside here? I want this to be positioned to the center, right? I want this to be positioned to the center relative to my entire viewport width, and then that therefore means that this should have a class of flex with a minimum height of 100 viewport heights. And then you might not be able to understand what I'm actually doing here, because I'm doing it I can't even speak. I'm doing it all in my head before I write it down, because I'm trying to visualize how I want it to look. So basically what I'm saying is that I want this div with the class of container to have a form, and the form is going to be aligned to the center of the screen, no matter the device that you are using. And then yeah, I think that's basically it. So I'm going to add just a form. I'm going to add a form here with no action, with an input type of search. Just remember, this is much better if this is search, right? And then let me close the sidebar and just say the name is search and the ID is search, like that, and the place holder equals to search nature, or let me just say eg nature, and then set this to required, or maybe not. And then I'm going to have another input with the type of submit with the value of search instead of submit. And then I think that's basically it for HTML. So let me save this and let me open this up with live server. Okay, that's looking nice. So right away, let me add my background image, because this light is too bright in my eyes right now. So right now I'm going to target the container, and for the container I'm going to add a background of URL and set it to this image, set the background repeat to no repeat, set the position to center and the size to cover, so that it will have this. And then inside my HTML I'm going to say I'm going to say what this should display: flex items center, justify center, and with the height of the screen height, which in Tailwind, remember we're using Tailwind CSS, so H screen means 100 viewport heights. So this should do this. Not what I wanted. Let me add inside here, let me add image to have a max width of 100%. Is this image too small or what? Is the image too small? too small by, I mean the width, but it shouldn't do that though. It shouldn't do that. Let me just deal with my header right now. Excuse me, my voice is a bit coarse. Okay, let's do this. Let me place this back right there, and then this is the container. I want this form to be inside a div with a class of overlay. So div with a class of overlay, because I want to add a bit of background color to this to make it even darker. And then instead of calling this a div, I want to call this a section. Remember, I have an extension that changes the end tag and the beginning tag automatically if I change either of them. So this div with the class of overlay, I'm going to target it, and I'm going to say for my container and for the overlay class, I want the background color to be RGBA 000 and 0.5. We should make it, okay, let's say 0.9. What? Is this not working? Is this not working? Something's not working. What's not working? Class. Let me try and set the height here to 100 viewport heights, and then remove this. Where was it? Remove this. Oh, I didn't save this. Let me just deal with the header first. Let me go inside this header, give this a class of absolute and width full so that it goes all the way to the end, and then flex items center and justify between like that, which should now push this end to end, and we have our logo right there. And then I want to deal with this UL next, so I'm going to say, actually let me deal with this, give this a class name of text, let's say 4XL, and then let's say text white. Have I forgotten how to use tailored CSS, or am I tripping? Is the tailored CDN not working? Okay, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like how this is behaving. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disable this. Actually, I'm just going to remove it anyway. Just remove it, all of it, and let me add my own custom styling to this. So give this a class of header, give this a class of logo, give this a class of hero, and yeah, let me just do all of it in my CSS. So I'm going to say actually I also need the div the class of container. Where is it? Container. So that I have this image. Okay, and then I'm going to say create my alt select, and I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, box sizing to border box. We should now get rid of the margins on the left and right, and then for the ULs I want to say list style type to be none, and for the anchor tags I want text decoration to none, which will remove the underline. And then I'm going to target my header. Oops, my header, and I'm going to say display flex, align item center, and justify content to space between. We should place it to this other side like that. And then I want to target the ULs inside the header, so header ULs, which is basically this, and I'm going to say display flex, align item center. Oops, I actually don't need this, I just need to say display flex like that. And then I want the header to be positioned absolute so that the image goes below the header, right? So let me say position absolute, which will break this up a bit, but I can say set the width to 100%, which should now 100%, which should now take it back to this end. And then of course you realize that we don't have any scrolling, and just to make sure that we don't have any scrolling right here, I'm going to say overflow hidden so that it doesn't show any scroll bars no matter what happens. And then right away I want to move this form to the middle, right? So I remember the form is inside the class of overlay in our HTML. So I'm going to say right here display flex, align item center, and justify content to the center, and then set a height of 100 viewport heights as well, which will now move it to the center like that. And as you can see, now that I have this, now our RGB is working, but I don't want it to be this dark because I want it to have just a bit more lightness so that the background image is visible enough to make out what it actually is. So I'm going to say this is about 0.7. Yeah, that looks nice. So now I want to target this class right here so that I can change this text to white. And actually, just remember, let me add some padding on the header so that this moves inwards as well as this. So go back to the header, and I'm going to say add a padding here of 10 on the 10 pixels on the top and bottom, and 30 pixels on the left and right. And then in the header, I have a class of logo, and inside this logo I have an h1. Let me just confirm it's the class of logo. This is not class name, this is not class name. I've been doing a lot of React lately, so yeah, that happens. So wait, did I have class name when I was trying to style it in Tailwind, and that's why it wasn't working? It doesn't matter, I've already deleted Tailwind, so that's okay. So actually what I want is this class, I want this class to be on this div, not on the h1. Oops. This div right there, not on the h1, so that I can now access it like this. And I'm just going to say font size, increase this to 46 pixels, and change the text color to white like that. Looking nice, looking nice. Now let's deal with this. So for our URLs, I want to target the list items, so copy this. For the list items, I'm going to say margin to be 0 on the top and bottom and 20 pixels on the left and right. And then I want to go inside this once again and target the anchor tags so that I can change the color to white like that. And then I'm going to go inside this once again and target the hover state. So for the hover, I want the border bottom to be 2 pixels dotted and the color white itself, so that we would have something like this, as you can see. So let me add a bit more padding so that the border moves down even more. So right here I'm going to say padding bottom of, let's say, 5 pixels. And yeah, that looks nice, that looks nice, looking very nice. So now all we need to do is now just deal with our form. So the form is inside this overlay class. Let me just confirm that as okay. So I'm going to be targeting the form like that, and I'm going to say, and remember, I'm only building this for a bigger screen first of all before I can scale it down. I'm still wondering whether I should actually scale it down. I mean, it would be prudent to do so, but it's not currently very high in my priority list, okay, because this is just technically for inspiration. Okay, so let me just deal with this form. So for the form, I'm going to give this form a width of, let's say, these are big screens, so let's say 900 pixels, which will do this. And then I'm going to say, let me say max width, so that I can say margin of auto, which should now center it back again like that. and then I'm going to target the input, and remember we have two inputs, so if I just target one of them like this, it should affect both of them. And I'm going to say actually no one, let me just separate them so that it doesn't confuse me. So I'm going to be, actually instead of doing that, let me do this, let me change this into a button, and then change this into a button, change this value, and have this closing right there like that. Oops, forgetting the syntax. Like that. So there's a button of the type of submit, which is which should say search, like that. So it's basically the same thing, only that now we have the button, so that now when I target the input, I'm only affecting the input area alone. So I'm going to say for this input, have a padding of 12 pixels all around. Let me say this width should be, what do I have 900 here, so I'm going to say, let's say 700 here, so that it's very wide. That's too big, let's say 600. Let me reduce this so that in case someone is in chat I can read it and they don't feel ignored. So once I do this, then I'm going to say, let me target my placeholder. Actually, let me increase the font size for this first of all. So increase the font size, let's say to 30 pixels, which should do this as I want it. And then I want to target the placeholder, so I can just grab this and place two full columns and say placeholder, and say set the text color to black, like that. Okay, and then for the input, let me say border radius of 5 pixels. Let me remove the border so that this, I don't know whether you can see it, I don't want this to appear, so I'm going to say border of none, which should remove it like that. And then I want to deal with this button, so I'm just going to grab this once again, paste it below this, and target the button. And the button will basically have the same styles as this, or almost, but I don't want the width to be 600. And then I want it to be I don't want this space to appear, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say margin left to minus 20 pixels, border none, border radius, font size, yeah, let me see how this looks, so that we have this. Okay, and then I want to change the background color of the border, so background color, set this to blue, and blue is 00, red, green, blue, 00, and FF. But I don't want this bright blue, I just want to reduce it up a bit. Nope. I don't know, I don't like this shade of blue. I don't like this shade of blue, so let me do this around there, and then just darken it up a bit, just a bit, and then change the text color to white, like that. And then let's deal with the hover state. So I'm going to grab this, and then I don't want this border radius, I've just realized I don't want this border radius on the left of the button. So on the border radius here, I'm going to say I want it 0 pixels on the top left, and then 5 pixels on the top right, and then 5 pixels on the bottom right, and 0 pixels on the bottom left, which should now appear like this, so that it seems as though like this is one, it is a single thing. I don't know whether you can see it. And then what I want to do, I want to deal with the hover state, for this, right? So for the hover state, I'm going to say the background color should change to something darker than this, so just a bit darker. And then I'm going to add a transition on the background color by 0.5 seconds, and then below this I'm going to say set the cursor to a pointer, so that we would have that a bit of a transition looking nice. Let me just make it a bit darker so that we have that looking nice. Okay. Let me add some bit of text on top of this, because this looks a bit left out. It looks just a bit left out. So right at the top, right inside here, before the my form, I'm going to add an H2 that says Mother Nature has everything that you need. And then I'm going to say below this, let me add a paragraph and just say you just need to look in the right place, so that it seems as though we are calling to action on our input right there. And immediately you see that our application breaks, and the reason for that is because of the flex box. So all you need to do is just set the flex direction to column, so that our heading here is aligned in column form with the paragraph and with our form. So we can just go back inside the overlay right here and say flex direction, set it to column, which will do where's our heading? Our heading is somewhere at the top. Where's the form? Let me deal with how it looks first. Let me just make it lighter so that I can see where it actually is. And I'm going to say that I want to target the overlay, and then we want to target the H2. For the H2, set the color to white, set the font size to 30 pixels, set the margin on the bottom to 20 pixels so that it separates out from the paragraph. And we have this, but where's our paragraph? I actually can't see our paragraph. I actually can't see it. Let me target the paragraph. So below this, target the paragraph and say set the color to white. Let me just see, does it appear? Oh, it's right there. Okay. Set the font size to, let's say, 18 pixels. And is it because of this that it's misbehaving? Let's say min height. No. Display flex. Is this not displayed flex? Why is this happening? Let me just grab this. Let me grab this and place it on the top here. That happens. I don't want that to happen. Let me copy this, paste it here. Display flex. No. Why is this form behaving like this? I don't like this. And the thing about this is that I've done this so many times that I should be able to spot the error almost immediately, but I can't seem to find it, because this is the form with the max width. margin. It's the margin. I want a margin of 0 on the top, and then let me add a margin on the paragraph right here, on the paragraph, and I'm going to say margin bottom of 20 pixels as well. And then let me add I think that's actually it, really. I really think this will be it for this. And you might be wondering why I'm doing this. I just want to commit this to GitHub first of all, so that I can add the next project into the repository. And I've just remembered that I want all of this to be inside a dist folder, because I'm going to be deploying it to Netlify. So I'm going to create a dist folder and then just grab these three and just place them inside like that, which will break our application because technically it doesn't have access to our index.html. But if I were to open this up with live server once again, you can see it works fine, right? It works fine. So let me access my command prompt. Let me cd into my desktop, and then let me say cd into designs folder, and then actually this is not what I wanted. Let me go back. I wanted to open Visual Studio Code in the designs folder like this, so that we can see that we actually have the nature folder that we've just done right now, and then we have travel, which is basically all I have in my repository currently. And before I do anything else, let me just remember to scale this down. Right? So at about, I remember this, I placed a width of about, what was it? 900 pixels? 900 pixels right there. So at about 900 pixels, I want to begin to scale it down. So at media max width, because we're scaling it down, so max width of 900 pixels. Let me just grab this. I want this form, so grab this and remove this, and I want the max width to be auto. Let's see how this behaves. Nope, it doesn't behave like I want. Let's say max width. Let's say let me say max width to be 500 pixels. Okay, it should be behaving properly, but it doesn't. I think it's because of this header. There are things that we need to do right here. The first thing that I need to do is, first of all, target this h1, and the h1 is in the header with the logo h1 right there, and paste it above this. And I'm just going to remove this and change the font size right here to about 24 pixels, which will reduce this. And then I want to target the header and the ULs and the LIs, reduce the margin to about 10 pixels. And then for the container, generally all around the container, I want to have a padding of 30 pixels on the left and right, so that this moves inwards. Oops, not on the container but on the overlay, so that this moves inwards just a bit. And why isn't this form? Oh, the form is okay. I've just realized what I was doing wrong. Now that we reduced the width of the form, we actually need to reduce the width of the input. Remember, I also had a width on the input of 600 pixels, so I'm just going to grab this and paste it below this. Set the input, the width to auto, which should now, so that now it behaves properly. And then now I just want to text align center on this. I want to text align center on this. Let me see how this looks. All right, so text align center on my h1. So where's my h1? Right here. I'm going to say text align center. Oops, that's the wrong h1. It's the wrong h1 and it's actually an h2, so I'm going to copy this, target the h2 and just say text align center on this. And then now we just need to deal with the form. So for the form, I'm going to grab the input as well as the button. So I'm going to grab this, paste this down, and then just paste it once again and change this to button. And I'm just going to say display block, so that they're now block elements. And I'm going to say width of 100%, which they should now go end to end. And then for the button, the reason why it's behaving like this is, remember, I added a negative margin of about 20 pixels. So I just need to reset that by saying margin of 0, which should now reset it. But just to be more precise, I'm going to say margin left of 0. Actually, no, instead of doing this, let me just say margin of, let's say, 10 pixels on the top, so that it resets from, it adds some margin right here. And I'm going to say margin of 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and 0 on the left, which should now do this. And then remember, I also didn't add a border radius on this, so just to fix that so that it doesn't look all, so that it looks uniform, I'm going to say border radius of 5 pixels, just like that, just like that. Okay, and then what do we need to do? I just want to add what's it called, a hamburger menu on this. So what I'm going to do is, right after this UL, I'm going to add another div. Should I add a div inside here, or should I add it outside? No, don't open that. Should I add this? Let me say div called menu, and I'm going to use the font awesome that we imported. Remember, we have font awesome, so i.fas fa-bars, which will be the 3 lines normal hamburger menu. So once I save that, it should appear right there. Okay, so I can now target this menu, so I'm going to go right up to the top, because I don't want this to appear on big screens, right? Excuse me, I don't want this to appear on big screens, so I'm going to go above the header. I'm going to say that for the menu, I want it to display none by default, which makes it disappear. And then at about, let's say this is about 640 pixels, right? So I'm going to go below this. This was about 900, so I'm going to go below this, and I'm going to say media max width of 640 pixels. Then I want to target the menu, and I want to say display block, which will now make it appear. But then I want to style it a bit further, and I'm going to say position absolute, which will take it out from the normal flow of the web page, and it kind of disappears. So let me add a z index of 999, and then set the text color to white, like that. And then I want to position it on the right. Actually, let me increase the font size of 24 pixels. In case you're wondering why I'm able to do all this yet the menu is technically a div, it's because I have this I tag inside it. And this I tag, because I don't know how to say it, it behaves like normal text because it's a font awesome icon, so you can just do normal text things on it, right? So let me place this down, place this above this, and then below this I'm going to say from the right I want it positioned 30 pixels. Remember, I have a padding on 30 pixels on the header, so that's why I've chosen 30 pixels right here, so that it positioned almost as well as the header. And the reason why it has a little space here is because remember we have some padding of 10 pixels on the left and right of each link right there. And then from the top, I wanted 10 pixels from the top because I have a padding of 10 pixels on the top on the header as well. So I'm going to say that top, let it be 10 pixels like that. And then now I just want to manipulate this so that I can make this header disappear. And I'm going to say that for the header and for the UL, right? Was that it? I'm going to say flex direction, change this to column like that. And I'm going to say set the height to 100 viewport heights. No, because that now takes the I don't want that. Let me see background color. Let me set this to red so that I can see what I'm doing. Height of 100 viewport heights. It takes the logo away and everything else. That's not what I want. Instead, I'm going to say position absolute on this as well, which will take it out from the normal flow like that. And I'm going to say from the top 0, on the bottom 0, on the left 0, and on the right 0, which will now take up the entire width. And then set the height to 100 viewport heights, which will do this. And then set this text to what was it? Let's see. Okay, you know what? I want this to have a height of 0 by default, right? The reason why I want it to have 0 by default is because I want to click this and then add the height on this. Okay, so let me add that. Let me do that. I'm going to say for the header UL, when it is, let me give it a class of open, then I want the height to be 100 viewport heights, and then I want the overflow to be auto, which means I should set this to overflow hidden so that it doesn't show any scroll bars. And then I'm going to add a transition on the height by not on the height but on everything, because I'm also going to add a background color, so transition everything by 0.5 seconds, right? And let me just try that. Let me see how this looks. Let me place this on this other side, and then let me go and reduce this. Let me go inside this UL and give this a class of open. Was it? Okay, so I think that works fine. Now all I want to do is, first of all, let me disable this so that I can actually see it. And then I'm going to say that for the ULs, I should not disable it, but let me give it a class of 100 viewport heights, so that I want to see how it would look on bigger screens. So I'm going to say that for the header, for the UL, for the LIs, I want the margin to be 30 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. Actually, let me just say 30 pixels all around so that they move inwards as well. And then I'm going to say I want to target the anchor tags. So copy this and say for the anchor tags, I want the text to transform to uppercase like that. And then let me increase the font size to 36 pixels. That's too big for a font. Let me increase the 30 pixels. No, let's say 24. I think 24 is fine. Let me just add a bit more margin on this so that it moves down. So for the ULs, I'm going to say padding on the top, so padding of 30 pixels on the top and 0 on the left and right and 0 on the bottom. Let's say 50. Is that even doing anything? Let's say 150. Okay, it is, so let's say 50. And then now we will have this, right? But then I wanted this to align to the right. I wanted this to be on the right side. How do we do that? Let me say, if you can say text align center, what happens? And if I say text align right, okay, simple as that, text align right, so that it's technically on the same place as our button right there. And then for the menu, I've just remembered that I want a cursor of pointer, so that right there. And then now we just need to add the toggle functionality, but then again I've just remembered that I don't want this background color, so let me change this background color to 111827, which is a dark gray, just like that. And because I don't want to add a JavaScript file inside here, I'm just going to go before my closing tag and add a script tags, and I'm going to target my menu button. So const menu equals to document.query selector, and I want the class of menu, and then I want to target the UL, so let me just say const navbar equals to document.query selector, and I want to target the UL. I want to target the UL, right? I guess there's only one UL right here, which is basically this. And once I do this, I want to add an event listener on the menu, so menu.ie add event listener, and I'm listening for the click event. And then I'm doing this where I'm going to say navbar.classList.toggle, and we're toggling the open class which we created in our CSS. So oops, let me remember to change this back to 0. What's happening? Something's not working correctly. Something is not working correctly. And the something that is not working correctly is this. This should be here. Right. And there you go. That's what I wanted. So we added a bit of a transition, and the reason why, I don't know whether you can tell, but there's a scroll bar that appears for like a split second. The reason why I have it is because maybe if you want to populate your links even more to the point where it goes beyond the viewport heights of the device, then I want a scroll bar to appear. I don't want it to be, I don't want only 2 links to appear, for example, just like this. Okay, so once that happens, then I'm going to say, let me place this back to its normal size. Right, so now that we can toggle, and just to add a bit of a toggle effect on this, because I don't want it just to be, stagnant like that, I'm going to target the menu class, and for the menu class I'm going to say menu dot menu, add a class of rotate on list, and I'm going to say transform rotate and rotate by 90, or let's see how 360 degrees looks like, which is basically it will rotate all the way around and just go back to its original position, but at least it will have a transition effect so that it doesn't look all stagnant and everything. So in order to use this, we just have to go back into our JavaScript and then just do the same thing here. Call this rotate, which is the class we've just created, and call this menu. So let's see. Oops. And the reason why it doesn't rotate is because let me see, is it because of I'm not targeting the I tag? Is that it? Let me say menu I.rotate, and then let me change up a few things. Let me say this is I. Let me see if it will break, and it does break. Why? Let me see if I add this class of rotate right here. What happens? Actually, nothing happened. Okay, you know what? I've just realized why it doesn't happen. Because we don't have a transition, and it's basically rotating 360 degrees, which is its original position. So it doesn't have like any kind of animation on it. So let me add a menu, and for the I, let me add a transition, and transition the transform property by 0.5 seconds as well. And there you go. Now that we can come on, seriously, let me remove this from there. Let me go back into my JavaScript. Let's see if instead I were to target the I tag and call this fa-bars, and then call this I, and call this I, not import I, would it still work? And there you go. So you can see it has a rotate of 360 degrees on it, so that it provides some kind of visual cue that you have actually clicked the button, which is basically a good user experience, as you can tell. And right there, so let me now that I've finished with this, I can now deploy this to GitHub, and we can begin populating our repository, right? So I can open up my terminal, and I'm going to say git add all, git commit -m, and say nature landing page, like that, and just say git push, which should now push it to GitHub. Once it finishes, please use the new location. Oh, I changed the name, really. I changed the name, so I think it should still push right there, nature landing page, as you can see. And what I want to do is just immediately deploy this to Netlify. So I'm going to open up Netlify, log in right there, and once it logs in, I'm going to say new site from Git and go to GitHub, and I've already authorized it, and I'm looking for design hub, which is the name of the repository, so right there. And then the directory that I want to deploy, remember, is inside the nature and /dist. So I'm just going to say nature /dist directory, and then just say deploy site, which when this finishes running, let me just change the name of this and say tsb designs -nature. And once it finishes, then we should have this right there. So everything that we've just done all the way until now, and you can see it's looking very nice, if I do say so myself. And yeah, I think that will be it. But then just because I want to do a bit of planning for tomorrow, And by tomorrow I mean today, really, because it's almost 1 a.m. I'm just going to go into UI design daily, and then just get a few more inspirations for this. And I'm going to say landing pages or landing page. This looks nice. Let me just open this in a new tab, and this as well. And this as well, and this as well, and this as well. Let's just deal with those for now. You can see it's actually looking very nice, with the background image, and so just a bit of an overlay that doesn't take up the entire width of the image. And we have a grid here, and we have other images right there. Okay, nice. We have a form here with the dates. Okay, and we have a form here. Oh, this is almost what we've built, really. We had our navbar, we have our H1, and we have the paragraph, and then we have the form basically saying search. So it's almost similar to what we built. Actually, it's basically similar, only the background image is different. And this is a landing page, I guess, for Santa Cruz de Tenerife. Island of Tenerife, Spain, Canary Islands, well preserved. I guess this is just like a scenic location. Looking nice. So I'm going to do a bit of inspiration from all of this, and then maybe we can build some more projects tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, I guess that will be the end of the stream, because I really need to catch some sleep as well. I think the next stream will probably be on Thursday, because I have quite a bit of work to do tomorrow. And yeah, you can follow me on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at TSB Sankara, and remember to follow me on Twitch as well if you're watching. And I might upload this to YouTube, but I'm still kind of indifferent. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching if you were able to catch the stream, and I'll see you probably on Thursday.